This is Jackie with Inthekeyofchange.com. I'm here with Mark Beemer of Shirts for the Cure, and we're here at South by So What. I think we were both at South by Southwest yesterday. You were probably there much longer than I was. How do you manage to keep going through all these tours, physically and mentally?
That's a good question. Clean living. Honestly, it's just I've always been able to wake up early and go late. The weird thing is I don't drink coffee. I don't drink caffeine at all. So it's just kind of like you get up and muscle through the first hour and you're fine. But I don't need much sleep. If I get 4 hours, I'm golden. When you have to reevaluate your life when you look at a routing and you say, okay, as long as there's no more than 6 hours after midnight, I can do it. You look at a routing and decide that a 6-hour drive after midnight, it's fine. 8 hours now, that's pushing it. No, but we've been doing it for so long, it's just normal. There was an ad on TV this morning when we were getting ready. We just had the TV on, zoning out for a few minutes, and talking about how to get better car insurance. And one of the things is to have 8 hours of sleep. And I couldn't tell you anybody who's had 8 hours of sleep, let alone me. And when... Never.
We're so liable. We're screwed. We're such a liability. I mean, you must be some sort of magician, though. You don't need a lot of sleep. You don't need caffeine. I mean, you got to give me at least one. And you've been doing this for a while now. How many years have you been going at this with Shirts for a Cure?
11 years now. But in the beginning, it was even worse because I didn't know what I was doing. Well, I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't afford to take other people with me. So I would do everything myself. So the first year we did Warped Tour, I would work all day, nap for like 2 hours, and then do the overnight drive, and then nap for 2 more hours, and then work all day. It was ridiculous. And if you want to see some really funny things, you drive from LA to San Francisco with no sleep. There's some, awesome.
No, thank you. That doesn't sound like fun to me. Now, when you got started, were you printing the t-shirts yourself? Or were you getting bands to give you their already printed material?
We've always done everything ourselves. So in the very, very beginning, the idea was for us to provide the shirts, but to have bands take them on tour. And it started out fine, but logistically, the money would never add up. And not the band's fault, it's not the merch guy's fault, it's just things always happen on tour. So we decided that was not a good idea. I'll get to that. So we decided that it was not such a good idea. So we started doing everything ourselves. And it really just so much better that way. Not being liable or even relying on anybody else is just really the way to go when you run a foundation like we do. But that said, about the last year or so, we have been sending some shirts out on large arena tours that we couldn't get on ourselves. And we could get on ourselves, but logistically, sending someone out on an arena tour is very expensive. So sending a shirt out is a lot easier. And it's also, if you know the merch guy really well, and you trust him, and he understands why he's doing what he's doing for you, then he'll do a great job. And shirts don't disappear. You get exactly what you're supposed to get. So those kind of tours, we send shirts out on. But anything else, we try to be there ourselves.
And you've been there personally for a very long time. I mean, I've been covering Warped Tour for a while, and you personally are there at the stops. It's not you say hi or like the musicians will sort of do a walk by or a signing or anything. You're there all day in the trenches. I think the last event, I might be wrong, that I saw you at was Bamboozle last spring, which was also pretty big. The weather's not so fun in comparison. Have you ever had sort of the really bad weather or festival experience? Because today it's hot, but I mean, at least it's sunny.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we've run the gamut from hurricane to snow to torrential downpour to Arizona 109 degrees. It really, honestly, as long as it's dry, we don't care because moisture it will destroy any sort of merchandise, and that's your enemy when you're dealing with merchandise. It's always moisture. So yeah, the weather is always a wild card. Summer, less of a wild card. Well, that's actually not true because you have more of the proclivity for the monsoons, especially in the southern East Coast during the summer. But here we are in Texas, and it's a beautiful day, and I'll take the 81 degrees sweat opposed to the rain that could have been. It's, you just take it. Every day you wake up and you're like, all right, you bring tarps. You always prepare for the worst. And actually, it's one of the things that we stand out on Warped Tour because the people that I bring with me care about what we're doing. We're not just some merch guy who is on the tour because his best friend's a singer or needs something to do for the summer. So when we see rain, we actually get our tarps out and tarp everything up where other bands just let their stuff go. It's just, things a little bit different with us. It's also, if kids see the founder of the organization actually still doing everything in the trenches, they relate to that more, and they react to that and want to help and so forth.
And you do a lot of help. What were some of the charities that you were able to help recently?
Right now we're working with a breast cancer center in Austin called the Breast Cancer Resource Center in Austin, Texas. We like that because they're youth-oriented. They go after and help young women deal and treat breast cancer. We also work with an organization in Chicago called the Community Health Center, which is a center. It's a clinic that reaches to in really impoverished areas of Chicago, brings people in and then helps treat them. Those two, and we are working with a teen center at the Cancer Institute of New Jersey in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Not everything we do is teen-oriented or youth-oriented, but we like to run the gamut because all of our fundraising is through the youth and movement, youth environment. We try to let people understand and try to treat the young people of the world. We also try to educate the young people that it's not an old person's disease. Most insurance companies will say, don't get treated until you're 45. Don't test yourselves until you're 45. And we utterly disagree with that. The U.S. government will say, never test yourself. It's ludicrous. So we encourage people to test themselves now. It doesn't hurt to test themselves. All you do is you do a self-test once a month. You learn your body. You learn what's normal. You learn what bumps are just life and what bumps are not supposed to be there. And if you are worried about something, you go see a doctor. Most health insurance companies will cover a visit if you're worried about something. And it's also it's your life. You want to make sure that you're healthy.
And fundraising is not something that's easy to do in 2013, and I'm sure in many other years in the past, still not very easy. Tell me about, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, so please correct me, the Inthekeyofchange fundraising you're doing?
Yeah, Indiegogo. It's
You might pronounce it wrong.
right at the moment we are trying to raise money to republish a book that I published 10 years ago. I'm a photographer by trade. Don't do it as often as I used to, but because I'm kind of busy. But it's a book that I put out 10 years ago. We want to republish it with 10 more years of photography, adding 10 more. It's all live band and band portrait stuff. Started back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, documenting the DC and East Coast hardcore scene, and ballooned that into. I lived in Minneapolis for a while, so I covered that scene in New York City, covered that scene. In the past 10 years, I've been back in DC, so covering that scene, but also branching out into more of a festival and Warped Tour scene as well. So there's bigger bands, more popular bands, yet still having the smaller bands too. So we hope to republish that book sometime in May. Right now we're raising money. It's called Stealing Time. If you want to go to Indiegogo/Stealing Time, you can check us out. We're trying to raise $10,000. We're right around 4,500 right now. So we're on our way, but we could use your help. So check it out.
Great. So there's clearly a lot going on for Shirts for a Cure. So please give what you can and buy a T-shirt, buy 5 T-shirts. Winter will come back eventually, and it all goes to a good cause. This is Jackie with Inthekeyofchange.com.